mesh was for the medical domain. More generally, you have, for the English language, you have this excellent resource called Wordnet, which you can think of as a generic sort of thesaurus, a structure that links the meanings of words to each other, and it's not restricted to any particular domain. So a lot of linguistic research makes use of Wordnet. So it seems like Wordnet would be a natural thing to use for constructing sets of synonyms. So what you have here is, this is a Wordnet entry for the word squid. Now, what you see at the top is, there's two entries for squid. Squid has two senses that are described in the Wordnet. One is the food sense, right? So this is squid once you have cooked him or her. And the second sense is squid the animal, while it is still alive and swimming in the ocean. Right. So let's get rid of the food for now. So I'm interested in squid the animal, and so I don't know about you, but when I think of squid, I tend to, if you ask me to associate a word with squid, the first thing that comes to mind, at least for me, is octopus. But for some reason, I associate the two. And if you look through this entire tree, you won't actually see an octopus here. And there's a good reason for that. And that reason has to do with how Wordnet organizes the entries in the corpus. Right? So what we have here is, so this is the entry for squid, it's the right entry. What we have here is hyponyms. So these are child terms of squid. These are specific kinds of squid. So loligo and, I can't even pronounce that, and giant squid are the particular subtypes of squid. And what you'll see a lot of in Wordnet is for squid is a word that occurs in the English language fairly frequently, but all of these are pretty arcane. They're pretty rare words that people don't normally use in their everyday speech. So these are accurate, very accurate, but not very useful for a search engine, for expansion. So these are more specific. Now, what if we go the other way? What if we go to the parent term? What is more general than squid? Well, it turns out that the more general thing is called the decapod. Right? Again, you get a Latin name for it. So a decapod is a swimming squid-like thing with 10 arms, which is what squid has. Now, decapod, again, you wouldn't want to expand your query with decapod. That's not a very useful synonym. So what if we look at the children of the decapod, right? So if you're looking at this as a family tree, I'm squid. These guys are my brothers and sisters. They're my siblings. So I go to my parent, the decapod, and the children of the parent. You get cuttlefish and spirula. Okay, so these are slightly more generic, but again, I'm not seeing the octopus here. The reason that I'm not seeing the octopus is it turns out that octopus actually only has 8 legs. And even though in my head the extra 2 legs aren't very important, the octopus and squid in my head are pretty similar little beasties. As far as the formal semantics of the English language, they're actually really far apart, because to biologists, those 2 extra legs make all the difference in the world. So in order to get to my favorite octopus, I actually have to go 2 levels up. I have to go from squid to decapod, and then to the parent of decapod, which is cephalopod, right? Which is just a mollusk with arms swimming around in the ocean. And then a couple of levels under cephalopod, I'm going to get my octopus. Okay? But that's a lot of effort to go through to associate squid and octopus. So using Wordnet, while it's an excellent resource and it encodes the human knowledge very, very well, using it to construct effective set of synonyms is not trivial. It's actually maddeningly difficult. Right? So it's what you match, it's how you match things, right? So if I go 2 levels up and 2 levels down, I'll have squid and octopus associated. But in the process of going 2 levels up and 2 levels down, I'll find lots and lots of other terms that I will associate with squid, and a lot of them are going to be junk. So I wouldn't actually want to associate them. So the question is, how do you do it, right? How far up and down the tree do you go in your search for synonyms? And then, do you put weights, right? Do you count how many levels of the tree you had to traverse, and then how do you assign weights to the paths through the tree of different lengths. So all of these are difficult questions. So another problem with this is in a WordNet, you're analyzing words one by one. That's how it's designed. Right? So when I'm looking at squid, I have one token, and I drop into this data structure, and I start traversing this data structure. What I don't have is I don't have any notion of context here. Right? And context is important because depending on how squid occurred in the text, it would actually take different meanings. Another problem with WordNet, of course, is it looks at canonical meanings of the words, and it doesn't take the popular meanings into account. So, any guesses as to what is the most popular sense of squid on the web? Is it the food, or is it the animal? It's neither. The most popular sense for squid is a proxy server. Squid is a caching proxy server that's used in just about every internet service provider and by just about every web server out there. And that is the most common sense of the word squid if you count it on the web. And unfortunately, it's not in WordNet, so you won't get it.